Welcome to Exact Training. This lesson is on navigating the options, tools, and help menus in the Mac System Manager. During this lesson, you will learn about the options, tools, and help menus. We will discuss the activation screen and blank password options, local installation preferences, attaching and creating Mac's companies, system user information, and enable and disabling the toolbars and shortcuts. Let's get started. The first topic is navigating the Options menu. The activation option located in the Options menu allows for the activation of a new Mac system. It is also used when adding new modules to an existing Mac's installation and anytime Mac has either moved to a new server or changes have been made to the server hardware that Mac is installed on. Whenever a new Mac license is installed, changes are made to the existing Mac server, or if Mac has moved to a new server, the Mac administrator will be prompted with a message indicating that the new configuration will need to be activated. This tool is the means by which the new license will be activated. To launch the Mac's License Activation tool, click on the Options menu from the System Manager screen. Choose Activation from the list. The Activation dialog window displays a unique system-generated character string called a hash. This hash is unique to the machine on which Exact Mac was installed. This hash will need to be sent to the Mac's fulfillment department, who will generate a companion hash entered into the lower pane of this screen that will allow for activation of the new license or configuration. Click the Preview the Email button to open an email that will be addressed automatically to the Mac's fulfillment department. The email will launch with all of the pertinent information already populated. Simply click the Send button to send the activation request to the Mac's fulfillment department. Once the fulfillment department has processed your request, you will receive an email back from them with the companion hash code. To activate the license, simply highlight and copy the Exact Mac's unique hash code number 2 as shown in the example here. Click in the lower pane of the activation window. You will paste the hash code by clicking Ctrl-V in the lower pane of the activation screen and then clicking Save to activate. That's all there is to it. Next, we'll talk about the options for background color preferences. This is a simple tool that allows the user of an individual Mac's installation to choose between the standard and the Windows default when displaying the background colors for various screens in each of the Mac's modules. To access that window, click on the Options menu from the System Manager screen. From the menu, click on Background Color Preferences. Choose the preferred option for this workstation of either Standard or Windows Default, and click OK to save the changes. These are some things we can do in the browser settings. We can customize Macs on each workstation, control the way Mac searches records, the way that the search boxes appear, customize sound effects, and change the header row height. To access the browser settings, click on Options from the System Manager screen. Choose Browser Settings. The local browser setting window will open where we can choose which options we want for our local installation. These can be different across your whole Mac system, and each user can have their own options. The first item is Operation Type. This controls how Mac will execute a search when browsing for data in the browser screens. There are two options to choose from. Automatic means that searches will default to the table column when the browser dialog opens. This allows for quicker searches because the search executes immediately. The manual choice, which is default, means that the user must click the search button to start the search. This allows the users to modify column settings before searching. The search indicator is simply an animated icon that displays when a search is running, much like a progress bar. This option is purely cosmetic and has no effect on the processing time. The options include 4 globe choices, which is a globe spinning while the search executes. The torch, which is default, is a shining light that pans back and forth while the search executes. The dialog color option affects the display of the background of any dialog browser boxes. The shaded grid even row color option allows you to select an alternate row color in search windows. This is only available when grid appearance is set to shaded. The grid appearance option allows you to select either a lines only or an alternate row shaded grid appearance. Shading alternate rows allows for easier browsing of the search screens across multiple columns. Should you so desire, custom sound effects can be applied that trigger once a search has completed or during the running of a search. The sound file must be stored on the local drive. Simply click the Browser button ellipsis to browse to the sounds. The header row height of a grid may also be adjusted up or down when printing a grid. Once all of these changes have been made in this screen, click Apply to save the changes. Also notice the Enable Tooltip Help checkbox. Check here to display feature definitions and keystroke combo shortcuts when the cursor rolls over each browser feature. The default is set to On. When finished, click OK to exit the screen. The Key Field Setting option allows for Mac System Administrator to set whether or not key indexed fields, such as part IDs, will be allowed to use or display lowercase letters as well as uppercase letters, or whether the fields will be limited to uppercase only. If limited to uppercase, then when entering a part ID in lowercase, the screen would display them all in uppercase. To access the key field settings, click on the Options menu from the System Manager. Select Key Field Settings from the list. The Key Field Setting window will open and display the two options that are available. Normal, which allows for the use of lowercase letters in key fields, or Always Uppercase, which does not. Notice that this setting will only affect key indexed fields in Macs, such as part IDs, and does not affect any other fields. Choose the option you would like your Mac system to use. In this example, we will choose Normal, which will allow the use of lowercase letters in the key fields. Click OK when you are done. Let's talk about personalizing Macs and allowing you to change the look and feel of the system. You can change themes, color schemes, font sizes, and command bar themes. To access the Personalize Macs window, from the System Manager, click on the Options menu. Select the Personalize Macs item. The Personalize Macs screen will open, showing all of the various themes available to you to choose from. Click on the More button to see how the various themes will look before you pick one. Choose the Office 2007 option to see how it changes the look and feel of your Mac screens. You'll notice that the dialog boxes, the progress bars, and other items now fit the Office 2007 theme. Some themes allow you the ability to change the font size. Simply click on the Font Size drop-down box to see your options. The Luna theme allows for normal, large, and extra large fonts. When finished, click OK to exit the window. Also from the Options menu is the ability to see the license file path. This is used to display the network location of your Mac's license file. It is useful to use this when you need to swap out license files or know the location of your Mac's license file for tech support. From the System Manager, click on the Options menu and choose License File Path from the list. The path will be displayed in this screen. The license file will be found by browsing to this location. Click Cancel to exit this window. Attach Company is another options menu item. This utility defines a company name for an existing valid SQL database on an Exact Max 5.5 server. You can choose whether or not to set the attached database as the default for client installations. From the System Manager, click on the Options menu and choose Attach Database. The Attach Company window will open, where we will define the company name and connect it to the existing SQL database. Type in the name of the company that you wish to attach. This does not have to match the name of the existing SQL database, but it's recommended that they are similar. In the company name field, type up to 60 letters, numbers, characters, and special characters that will name a MAX database as it displays to the users. You may select the checkbox next to Default Company to use this database as the default for all new client installations that are done from this MAX server. Clearing this checkbox requires that the database be selected during a client installation. To make this database an archive company, select the box next to Make Archive Company. An archive database is used to store data from previous periods, allowing for its retrieval at a moment's notice. Depending on the type of security that is set on your system, enter the required credentials. In this example, SQL authentication is used and the SQL Server login credentials are required. Press the Tab key and enter the username and password. Now we're ready to link the newly created company name with the existing SQL Server database. To browse the available MAX databases, click the Database button at the bottom of the window. Now choose the correct database by highlighting its name. Now click the Attach Company button. Once the database has been linked, click the Close button and exit the window. Another option menu item is Company Maintenance. This allows any users with supervisory rights and database administrator credentials to view and modify the Exact Max database properties. Active or inactive existing companies, making an existing company into a test company, deleting existing companies, and changing authentication methods for the existing company. From the System Manager screen, click on the Options menu and then on Companies Maintenance. And the Companies Info window will open. We would like to see only active MAX companies in this screen, so let's deselect the box next to Show All Companies. We're now seeing only active companies. You can click on the Change Settings button for any MAX company to view the specific settings for that database. This Company Setup window allows you to modify the SQL Server connection settings for any existing company database. Select or mark the Default Company checkbox to use this database as the default for all new client installations done from this MAX server. Clearing this checkbox requires that the database be selected during a client installation. To use the primary SQL Server credential box, place a check mark here to use the same login from the SQL Server when logging into MAX. Clearing this checkbox requires that the MAX administrator enters unique login credentials. The primary SQL Server is the SQL Server on which the database resides, and it is called Exact Max Database. Each named company database may reside on the primary or another SQL Server. In the Authentication area, select the type of user authentication, whether it will be the Windows operating system or the SQL Server software that verifies the user login. For SQL Server, type or select from the drop box the SQL Server name on which Exact Max is installed. For username, if SQL Server is selected, type the MAX administrator username. And for password, type the password assigned to the MAX administrator. Exact Max users with supervisor rights may modify any of these settings by typing data in the fields and then clicking the Apply button at the bottom of this window. You may delete an existing Max company simply by clicking on the Delete key at the bottom left corner of this setup screen. Doing so will completely delete the company, including the underlying SQL tables. Verify that this is in fact the database you wish to delete. Uncheck the Delete SQL Database and Data Files checkbox if you only wish to remove the Max company from the login screen but wish to keep the actual data tables. You will be asked to confirm your choice to delete. Click Yes, and the company will be deleted. To make an existing company a test company, place a check in the Is Test box for the company in question. Click Update to save the change. To exit the company's info screen, click Close. Another option is to create a new company. This utility defines a new SQL database on your Mac server and assigns a database name to that database for display to users. In this screen, you can create a new Max company, create a sample empty company with a database structure but no actual data, and choose to make the company the default company for installs, and choose the SQL authentication type that will be used. From the Options menu, click on Create New Company to launch the window. And the Create New Company window will open, showing all of the options available for the creation of a new Max company. In the Company ID field, you may type up to 50 letters or numbers, including no spaces, that identify an exact Max database. In the Company Name field, you may type up to 250 letters, numbers, spaces, and special characters that will name the exact Max database for display to you and other users. Look at the area for Make Sample Company. Clear the Make Sample Company checkbox to create a blank Max database, which is a table structure only with no data. This checkbox is cleared by default. Select or mark this box to populate an exact Max database with sample company data for parts, customers, vendors, orders, etc., to be used as an example or for testing purposes. In the Set as Default Company box, you may mark or check this box to use a Max database as the default for all new Max client installations done from this Max server. Clearing this checkbox requires that the Max database be selected during a client installation. In the Use Primary SQL Server Credentials, you can select or mark this checkbox to use the same secure login credentials of the SQL Server when you log into Max. Clearing this checkbox requires the exact administrator to enter unique login credentials for Max. Primary SQL Server is the SQL Server on which the master database, called Exact Max, resides. Each named company database may reside on the primary or another SQL Server. SQL Server Connection. In the Authentication area, select the type of user authentication, for example, whether the Windows operating system or the SQL Server software verifies the user login credentials. In the SQL Server area, type or select from the drop-down list box the SQL Server name on which Max is installed. For username, if SQL authentication is selected, type the exact Max administrator username. For the password area, if SQL authentication is selected, type the password that's assigned to the Max administrator username. When finished, click the Close button to exit the new company window. You may want to view a list of users that are currently logged into the system. Go to the System Manager, select Options and Current System Users. So from the System Manager, click on the Options menu. Then choose Current System Users. The Max Users List dialog box will display, showing all users that are currently logged in.
the company name or database to which each user is logged in, and the machine name or client workstation from which each user is using. Occasionally, a Macs user will become stranded. These users are not logged into Macs, but still show in the system as being active. Sometimes these types of disconnected users will take up a license seat that is needed by another user. To clear these types of users from the system, click on the Clear Disconnected Users button. When finished with the users list, click the Close button at the bottom of the screen. Macs has functionality for managing custom Crystal reports and also provides a custom report validator that can be used to identify custom reports that need to be updated. The Custom Report Validator lists reports in the Custom Report folder which are older than the date of the copy of the report of the Macs client. These reports on the workstation will need to be re-customized from the base Macs report in order to return valid data. This utility compares this file, as seen on your screen, to this location. Any affected reports will need to be customized again. To launch the Report Validator, click on the Options menu from the System Manager and choose Custom Report Validator. When the window launches, you will be presented with a list of custom reports where an older version of the report exists in the workstation's local EFW folder, then exists in the custom report folder on the server. When a report shows up in this screen, you will need to reapply your customizations to the new version of the report. The affected report will be listed in the Report Name column. The last modification date of the newly modified canned Macs report, as well as the date the custom report was modified on, will appear in the two columns to the right. To close the custom report viewer, click OK. The Synergy integration screen allows for the pairing of Macs with your company's Synergy database. This option will only apply to those companies that own Exact's Synergy product. To launch the Synergy integration tool, click the Options menu from the System Manager. And from the menu, click Synergy Integration. The Synergy integration screen will open, where we will see all of the configurations options available. Place a check in the Enable Integration box to enable integration with the Synergy installation. Deselect the box to disable integration. When integration is disabled, no data will flow back and forth between Synergy and Macs, even though both will continue to work independently of each other. Enter the URL address of the Synergy integration into the URL field. This will be different for each company and determined by your Synergy administrator. Enter the appropriate division in the division field, also determined by your Synergy administrator. If your company utilizes Synergy Enterprise, click the box as seen here. Once all the items have been appropriately addressed, click OK to accept the changes. Let's talk about preferences. Using this utility, you may set the default path, the folder name and location, for the Audit Log Output folder in which Macs saves the output or report file that is generated from the Batch menu Audit Exact Macs Tables program. To launch the Batch Audit Process Preferences screen, click the Options menu from the System Manager and click Preferences. To set the location for the batch audit report to save to, simply enter the path directly in the displayed field or browse to the appropriate location by clicking the Browse button. When finished, click OK. Let's talk about Save Report Preferences. If you configure a Max Report dialog box to display the report in a specific way, then you can choose to have Max save those report settings and display them whenever you open that report dialog box using that Max workstation. Each Windows user that's logged into a Max workstation may save his or her Max Report Preferences settings on that workstation based on their Windows login. When you run any report listed on a Max Module's Report menu, a Settings tab displays on that module's menu bar when the report window is active. Click the Settings tab to see the selections that are used to configure the active report. To enable or disable the Report Preferences setting, click on the Option menu from the System Manager. Click to place a check mark next to Save Report Preferences to save the report options. Uncheck to use the default options when running Max reports. The sample switch allows for enabling and disabling of the status bar at the bottom of the System Manager screen. From the System Manager, click on the Options menu. In the example here, the status bar is checked. Note the visible status bar at the bottom of the screen. To disable, click on Status Bar to remove the check. And the status bar will no longer be visible. To turn it back on, simply place a check next to Status Bar in the Options menu. The Standard option allows you to view or hide the standard toolbar from the System Manager. To see that option, click on the Options menu from the System Manager. When this option has a check next to it, the standard toolbar will be visible. If you disable the option, notice that the standard toolbar is no longer visible. To re-enable the toolbar, simply click again on the Options menu and place a check mark next to that choice. Similar to the standard toolbar, the Web Toolbar option allows you to view or hide the Web Toolbar at the top of the System Manager. In this example, notice that the Web Toolbar is enabled or visible. To hide the toolbar from view, click on the Options menu and remove the check. Currently, there is a check mark in the menu signifying that the toolbar is active and visible. To hide the toolbar, simply remove this option. The shortcut pane item in the Options menu controls whether or not you wish to display the shortcut pane that is by default at the left side of the System Manager. To view or hide the shortcut pane, click on the Options menu from the System Manager. When a check is placed next to Shortcut pane, the Shortcuts window will be visible from the System Manager screen, as seen here. To hide the Shortcut pane, click on Shortcut pane to remove the check mark and hide the pane. You can see here that the Shortcut pane is no longer visible, but you can put it back using the Options menu. The option called Save Session on Exit returns the workstation to the last Max screen that was used before exiting the module. To enable or disable the Save Session on Exit setting, click on the Options menu from the System Manager. When a check mark is placed next to Save Session on Exit, then anytime you leave any module with any screens open, you will be presented with the same screen you were looking at immediately prior to exiting. When the option is unchecked, you will be presented with no screens when you re-enter the module. All System Manager and Core Module toolbars include a Tools menu that enables you to launch specific applications directly from each module's toolbar without returning to the Windows Start menu. For example, you may choose to include Excel or Crystal Reports as tools to be launched directly from the Mac System Manager screen. To learn how to set up an item to appear in the Tools menu, refer to the lesson called Navigating the Mac's System Manager Activity menu. To launch an item from the Tools menu, simply click on Tools from the System Manager. In the example shown here, a link to a text file was previously set up to appear in the Tools menu of the System Manager. To open that file, simply click on the menu item. This file is a simple example of what you can do with the Tools menu. Most programs and files can be easily linked to the Tool menu for easy access. When finished with the linked file, click the X in the upper right corner. The Help screens in Macs, which are available from the Help menu in each module, including the System Manager, are a quick and easy way to get basic information about the various screens, modules, and functions available in the program. The Help screens are specific to the module that you launch them from, so when you launch the Help file from the System Manager, the contents available to you will be narrowed to items related to the System Manager. The Help screens are not intended as a sole training tool, but they are a good place to start when you want to find out some more about a specific topic. You can even find more intensive information in the Mac's User Guide for each module. To launch the Mac's Help screen, click on the Help menu at the top of the System Manager. Click Contents to open the Help screen from the System Manager. The System Manager Help screen will open, presenting you with an initial topic, in this case, the Login screen. To see additional topics, click the Help Topics button. And the search window opens, presenting a list of available topics. To select a topic, type your desired subject in the search field or double-click on an item in the list to jump to that subject. And the topic will be presented for your review. To exit this Help screen, click the X in the upper right corner. The MDAC Info screen displays the current Microsoft Data Access component version information for Macs. The displayed version number is the MDAC version that's currently installed on the Mac's workstation. This is typically used in cases when it is necessary to determine which version is running on a workstation, either for troubleshooting problems in modules that use MDAC, or for any reason that developers or the Mac's Tech Support Group might need quick access to this information. To access the MDAC information screen, click the Help menu from the System Manager and choose MDAC from the menu. This simple window displays the current version on this workstation. Once finished viewing, click Close to exit. The Mac's Installation History dialog box will list from top to bottom in chronological order the Mac's batch updates that are installed on the computer currently running Macs. To launch the Installation History window, click on the Help menu from the System Manager and click on Installation History. This read-only window will display all of the batches installed on this machine. Once finished, click OK to exit the Installation History window. Software updates for Macs are called batch updates. This screen will display current release numbers of Max and Manager software that is loaded on the Max server, the Max client workstation, and the database version. Additionally, the option can be chosen to make the workstation install a test server or enable or disable the auto update feature on the workstation. To view the batch information screen, click Help from the System Manager. Then click Batch Information from the menu. Software updates for Max are called batch updates. Displayed on this screen, you will see the Max version followed by the batch level of both the client and server, as well as the database version. Typically, the client and server batches will be the same, but the database number can be slightly different from the previous two. Each batch update contains one or more releases to update Max or the Manager software. The name of each batch includes the range of software release numbers included in the update. Max users must install batch updates in numerical order. Each batch update to Max software installed to the Max server increases the release number on the Max server. Batch updates may contain revised Max programs and/or updates to the Max database. Exact supports 2 concurrent installations of the Max software. Each Max workstation synchronizes with either the production or the test server for software updates based upon the radio button that's selected by you in the Update Options section of the Batch Installation dialog box. Workstations being used in a testing environment will connect to the test server, while normal production workstations will use the Production Server option. When the release number of the Max server is greater than the Max or Manager release number on the client workstation, the Update Now button displays active for users with supervisory rights to the System Manager. Supervisors can click the Update Now button in the Batch Information dialog box to run a client update immediately. Any user may select or check the Auto Update checkbox to update their client workstation during the next Max login. This will automatically apply the new updates on the server to the workstation, bringing it to the current version on the server. Click OK to leave this window. To display current version and copyright information, choose Help from the System Manager. To view this menu, click on Help from the System Manager and click About. The version and copyright information will display in this window. Click OK to exit. After completing this lesson, you should be familiar with the many items in the Options, Tools, and Help menus that are accessible from the System Manager. Important items covered in this lesson include the System Activation screen, Company Maintenance, Local System Preference Settings, and Installation History. Thanks for watching Exact Training.